Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be doing a deck with all of the skeleton cards pretty much in the game, all the useful ones, barring like the 2-mana skeletons, but we have the Skull King, the Skull Queen, the Black Witch, Boneyard, Skeleton's Legion, Skeleton Swarm, pretty much all of the good ones in here. We even have Reaper in here. I know Spike Statue isn't a skeleton card, but I just kind of felt like I needed a counter to like ice elementals, and otherwise I was going to get absolutely destroyed. So I was using the Spike Statue to help with ice elementals and to block other ranged cards that could do damage, like mages and such. Well, right here I didn't use it super effectively, but yeah, I actually had a surprisingly amount of success with this deck. So I was using it in the maxed out game mode, and mostly doing that because that way I didn't have to use mana assistance cards like Mana Ritual or Extra Crystal so much, and that way I could focus on having a full complement of actually sort of strategic cards in the deck. And I also, of course, very importantly, using Resurrection, which I think is fairly important, especially if my opponent has arrows. I will argue, though, that Resurrection is more important usually in a Spectre deck. And it's kind of tough trying to use this deck without Spectre, but Spectre's not a skeleton, so I did enjoy having the Black Witch, though. Black Witch definitely still a card that has a lot of utility with it, although I did get countered a lot while trying to use it. And for example, right here, it was hard to really counter every possible card that might be a problem, and I probably should have gone after the Dragon rather than the Black Knight with the Black Witch. So yeah, I was learning slowly but surely here. But you can see I was usually able to control, you know, either one or two lanes, even if they played a problem card in one of the lanes. I could usually control the other ones, and then with the speed of the Skull Queen, manage to get pressure on their castle, and then be able to destroy it, or get pretty close to destroying it. Most of these matches, usually I've recently tried to pick good matches for videos, like good game type matches, win or lose. But with this deck, in this game mode, there were not very many of those. It was usually either I got destroyed or I kind of dunked my opponent like really quickly with the Skull Queen. Because, yeah, it's pretty much either my opponent has a deck I can overwhelm with this, or they have a deck that's going to just counter me really hard and counter skeletons really hard. And I'm pretty much toast because I don't have the Spectre to be able to at least get something out of the skeletons before they destroy them. Like, if they play cards that destroy them, I'm pretty much just done for because I don't have the Spectre to at least get, yeah, like I said, get something out of it. But surprisingly, a number of people really didn't have the most solid skeleton counters. Like, they'd have something here or there, but a lot of people try melee cards, and yeah, I just go in on them. And a lot of people just getting overwhelmed with having to quickly defend against 3 lanes. They're probably not used to it from regular ranked game modes, and all of a sudden they were having to do it and not being as prepared, perhaps, especially if they have decks that have, you know, focus on like Black Knights or Dragons. They're going to get fairly overwhelmed, Mud Elementals, because they're not planning on countering all 3 lanes early in the match necessarily. So, sorry about this. Unfortunately, the audio just disappeared while I was recording, so I don't know where it went exactly, but it just didn't record any audio for the rest of the video, like for the gameplay, which is very unfortunate, but luckily the deck was still pretty good here, and you can see how quick I'm able to usually get this to work. Unfortunately, they played the Dragon in a good spot, and I was too late with the Skull Queen there, really. I just was not on the ball. I mean, with the Black Witch, I could have saved those skeletons. But this match here, my opponent did a really good job of trying to counter the skeletons at the start. And you'll see as it goes along, I start to kind of wear them down. It's looking really bad, but I catch the mage at close range. And that's the advantage of having, I was running double Skull King. Really just for the advantage of being able to have the Skull King to put against like mages and such. You can see though, this is a tough deck to go against. Double Valkyrie out there, plus mages. They've had 2 mages, 2 Valks. Really difficult deck to go against, but somehow I'm still managing to get through it. Now they have an Ice Elemental. It's like the 5th card they played that's anti-skeleton. I put down the Spike Statue, going to get to work on that card as well. The card that was usually the hardest if I didn't manage my Black Witch well was, of course, the Dragon. Without the Dragon, you know, without the Dragon, I could kind of manage. Though, as you can see, they pretty much have control of top lane now, and I can't do too much unless this Black Witch hits. And then there goes the Dragon. Luckily, I do manage to pull out the Black Witch, so I'm back to control of 2 lanes, and that ends up being enough. If I can keep control of 2 lanes, even if they have a Dragon down, it's usually good enough, and that person had Metamorph, which wasn't going anywhere. So, let's get back into another match here, and see what we can do with a starting hand of double Skull King. But it's because this deck, this game mode is, you know, starts with 12 mana. This type of deck is much more viable with the double Skull King. And the double Skull King seemed kind of necessary in order, you know, getting the Skull King as a troop in there. It really helps in terms of eliminating certain cards that the skeletons might not be able to, like the Phoenix or the Mage. Not so much the Executioner, because I think it's stronger than the Skull King. But for the the Mage and the Phoenix, the actual Skull King troop is quite useful at eliminating those. So, versus, you know, even head-on, the regular skeletons often can't do it. So, it was important to have a little bit of balance, and I tried to get as much as possible, you know, throwing in the protection as well. Ice Elemental is still a big problem for this deck in this challenge, but I had to really kind of manage my Black Witch. It's tough trying to decide between the Ice Elemental and the Dragon. And again, right there, if I could have gone back and thought that one over a little more, might have gone for the Dragon. But the truth is, the Dragon consumes a fair amount of mana, and it's only occupying 1 lane. So, especially when the Skull Queen is out there, I only really need 2 lanes to deal a significant amount of damage. And right here, you can see I was just absolutely pouring it on, and they just couldn't block all the lanes because, again, they played 2 cards that took up a significant amount of mana and only covered 2 lanes. And one of them rather poorly. The Mud Elemental wasn't really going to hold up, so yeah. This is tough here, though. You can see them starting out with the Executioner. I recognize what needs to be done. I go straight in there with the protection and did a nice combo play there to stop the Inferno and actually make this match start to happen. And it starts out well enough, but you can see the cards I have, and I'm trying to think about what I should play and where. I decided to just try and pour on the pressure here. I really get out all the cards I could here to try and put pressure on their castle, but they start to kind of pull things back together. And I think I played about everything I could here, and I was going at it, getting additional damage on their castle wherever I could. But unfortunately, you know, they come out with another arrows. I even get the Skull Queen back, which I thought was pretty key, especially trying to see if I could apply some pressure in the top lane or the bottom lane. And I did a good job in the bottom lane eliminating what they had, but they just keep blocking with more stuff. I think especially the fact they had skeletons was really difficult in this match because I couldn't get around the dragon because they kept blocking with more and more skeletons. And the only way to really break through there was to have the Skull Queen out, and once I lost the Skull Queen, it was just really difficult to get back in this match. And unfortunately, I end up going down to just one lane, really. But they just kept blocking the other lanes much more efficiently than most of my other opponents did. That was the key to beating my deck usually, was to try and just keep all 3 lanes occupied. But a lot of people strangely couldn't do that. So that was mostly why I was able to win matches. Not because I could win every matchup in every lane, but because I could do damage, especially with the Skull Queen out there in, you know, maybe just 2 of the lanes. You can see right here, once again, the Ice Elemental's out there, but, like, I'm still about to do damage in the middle lane. Not quite, but still, I was doing a good job here. I was able to get rid of the Ice Elemental with that Spike statue, so it was definitely earning its keep on the team here. The dragon is a problem. Managed to actually get down the mage there. Decided to bring back the Skull Queen, of course. Very key card. It's almost partly more why I have the Resurrection. More for the Skull Queen than the Skeletons, actually, because the Skull Queen is just so key. And I'm getting really close here to winning, but they got the Skull Queen down again. And I can't Black Witch that dragon at such close range. So I don't know what to do. I just go for Boneyard since it might get skeletons to their castle the fastest. And unfortunately, that was just all I could really do there. I felt like I did what I could. The great thing about this game mode is it makes Boneyard very easy to play at the start of the match. But it also makes the dragon pretty easy for my opponent to get out as well. So that's definitely a challenge. But just having the ability to do damage like I'm doing in the top lane right now. Oh man. And then luckily I was able to clear up the bottom lane. If I hadn't done that, I would have been in big trouble. And then the Spike statue handles the Ice Elemental in the middle lane. So I have 2 lanes open again, which is pretty much all I need. And with the Skull Queen out there, she can be frozen by the Ice Elemental and still have her ability be going. So at this point, you know, they tried. They got some anti-skeleton cards out there, but I was luckily able to come up with the Black Witch and the Spike statue to get my 2 counters in and played them pretty much perfectly. And then, despite their best efforts to try and block the lanes, like, I'm still getting hits in on their castle, and the Skull Queen is just frozen there, and they're kind of ignoring it as if it's not really causing a problem, even when it really is what's actually the biggest threat to them. And they're kind of ignoring it and going for the other lanes. So, yeah, I mean, and then I go for the one more Resurrection? Not quite. I decided to go straight in on the castle, and then middle lane finishes off. That was a great win just because they had a number of cards that were anti-skeleton, and I still stuck with it and was able to get the job done. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed that deck there with pretty much all the skeleton cards, or all of the mostly useful ones. The mage used to be a skeleton card, but then they changed the artwork, so I don't think it is anymore, really. So, yeah. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel for more mobile gaming videos. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.